right. So let's start. Let's start with this quotation from Lama Tsongkhapa's Lines of Experience as a sort of motivation for the session, as well as a review, actually, of everything that we've covered this far. So the fullest strides of progress and actualizing the supreme paths will not come about unless you have attained the working basis of an ideal human body that is complete with all 8 ripened favorable qualities. Therefore, you must train in the causal virtuous actions that will preclude your attainment of such a form from being incomplete. Furthermore, as it is extremely essential to cleanse away the stains of black karmic debts and downfalls from broken vows, tarnishing the 3 gateways of your body, speech, and mind, and especially to remove your karmic obstacles which would prevent such a rebirth, you should cherish continually devoting yourself to applying the complete set of 4 opponent powers which can purge you of them. I, the yogi, have practiced just like that. You who also seek liberation, please cultivate yourself in the same way. Okay. So many of you know Lama Tsongkhapa, the great saint, yogi, and scholar. So he wrote the Lines of Experience, which actually is a known as the short Lamrim. So you have the Lamrim Chenmo, and then the Lamrim Dring, and then the Lamrim Dudim. So it's the shortest of the Lamrim text, and that is his the stanza on summarizing the sort of attitude of the so-called small scope practitioner, or the initial capable being. So as he was saying, in order that we can make utmost progress along the path to enlightenment, we need a continuity of good rebirths, complete with all the 8 ripened qualities. And so we need to accumulate the causes for those and abandon the causes for not attaining such a rebirth. And then in particular, to purify our minds of previously accumulated karmic obscurations by means of the 4 opponent powers. So with that as a kind of motivation, right? So we can achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. We're going to learn about these various practices and continue our study of the 4 opponent powers in general, and this very cherished practice that Lama Tsongkhapa himself, did continuously, the practice of prostrations to the 35 Buddhas by means of the Bodhisattva's confession of downfalls. Okay. So, let's see. Now we're going to just okay. So last time we had gotten through. Where are we? Yeah, we had gotten through the prostrations to the 35 Buddhas, and then we are at this this place in the text where now we do the general confession, or shisha. So yeah, we'll do this, and then we'll go over the more of the practice instructions. Okay. So here, these instructions about how to actually do the practice. Then after each of these negative karmas, then one would pause to generate very strong regret. So we had mentioned this before. The purpose of going over these enumeration of all the various negative karmas is, well, one, yeah, so we can generate regret. And then two, well, reminding ourselves of all the negative karmas that there are, it can, help us remind ourselves not to commit such negative actions again. Sometimes we can maybe be a little bit less mindful that some things we're doing are actually, negative action. And then, yeah, this helps us do that. Okay. And then the special practice instructions here, which we'll go over later, is, as we said, of all the various ways to purify negative karma, then, interest in emptiness is the most powerful. And so by meditating on the emptiness of negative, the negative karma that we've done, it can help also to support the purification practice. Okay, so uhulag, or woe is me, it just is here at the beginning, a sort of an expression of regret and remorse. By the way, it seems that this text, right, the general confession, it is attributed to Arya Sura, who some of you know was a great Indian master who actually had been a very devoted Hindu practitioner. And then he had the very famous kind of competition with the other master, Arya Deva. And hold on. If you remember the story, then Arya Deva, who many of you know was a disciple of Arya Nagarjuna, then in that time, then the Buddhists and non-Buddhists would have these competitions and compete about various miraculous feats. And then how it went was the one who would win, then the disciples of the other the loser would then have to follow the winner. So Arya Sura then was a quite renowned for his miraculous power, and then he challenged. He went to Nalanda and challenged the monks there. And so they were then called for Nagarjuna to go, but for whatever reason, Nagarjuna then sent Aryadeva, his disciple, in his place. And then, well, as they were training for this match, this competition, then Nagarjuna was, they were debating back and forth, and Nagarjuna was taking the position of the non-Buddhists. And then at one point, Aryadeva, Nagarjuna was so convincing that, okay, I'm going to stop share. Nagarjuna was so convincing that Aryadeva thought that, oh, his master had fallen from the ways of the Buddhist ranks. And then in the debate, maybe some of you who have seen the debate now in the Tibetan monasteries, there's a part when you kind of have your opponent on the ropes, you do this thing, korsum, and you can do 3 circles above their head. So Aryadeva did this with his shoes above Nagarjuna's head, and this was a kind of a double whammy, because one, Nagarjuna was his guru, and secondly, was an enlightened being. So this was very heavy negative karma, and so after Aryadeva realized this, and then he sort of confessed, and then Nagarjuna said, well, okay, what's done is done, but there'll be an obstacle for you on your way. And then some of you know that, then on his way up from South India to Nalanda, which is in present-day Bihar, then he met, Aryadeva met a man who asked for his eye. And so I think Aryadeva at the time was a Bodhisattva, probably not yet an Arya being. I'm not sure about this. Then gives the eye to the man, and then the man then smashes the eye. So Aryadeva then had a bit of regret, like, oh man, why'd I give it to him if he just was going to smash it? So then because of that, regretting, I remember we were saying, so regret, when we regret our negative actions, it helps to purify. If we regret a positive action, then that also causes the strength of that virtuous action to decrease. So in general, giving away his body part, since he had done it with a good motivation, was a virtuous action, was actually a bodhisattva deed, but he later came to regret it. So that was considered very inauspicious. So then he just had one sort of working eye from then on. And anyway, he then reaches Nalanda, and there's a lot of banter back and forth between he and Aryasura. At one time, Aryasura sort of makes fun of Aryadeva only having one eye, and Aryadeva sort of responds that even out of one eye, he sees better, than I forget who. At least Aryasura, but probably most of us ordinary beings as well, right? Anyway, I'm just saying this because we're now giving a bit of a commentary on the general confession. It was written by Aryasura. After this competition with Aryadeva, in which he eventually lost. At one point, they sort of fly off into the sky, and they sort of go into the stratosphere. And then at one point, when they're about to sort of maybe leave the Earth's orbit or something, Aryadeva says, oh, don't go up any further, otherwise you're going to die. And Aryasura didn't believe him. But Aryasura had dreadlocks, like the sannyasin. And so he put, kind of threw the length of his hair up, and it got kind of chopped off by the solar winds or whatever. And then, he then believes him. In any case, so later when they come down, he sort of lost the competition of these miraculous feats. But then it was only later when Aryasura, then he is reading the Kangyur, the sutras of the Buddha, that he comes across a prophecy that the Buddha gave about him. And, saying that, they would have this competition and blah, 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 and, this whole story. And he's seeing this in this ancient text. So then he gets a lot of faith in the Buddha, and then, becomes a very great master in his own right. He then, the Jataka tales that we know, the previous life stories of the Buddha, those are also said, to have been, sort of written down, formulated, put into writing by him. So anyway, it seems, at least some texts attribute this general confession to him as well. Okay. So, great Guru Vajradhara, all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who abide in the 10 direction, and all the Venerable Sangha, please pay attention to me. Okay, so whereas the 35 confession Buddhas was a a text belonging to the sutra class of teachings, right? Rather, this, it has great Guru Vajradhara, which was the form that the enlightened form that Shakyamuni Buddha took when he gave the Vajrayana teachings. And then later you'll see we confess the Vajrayana downfalls as well. Okay. So yeah, all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are in 10 directions and all the Venerable Sangha, please pay attention to me. So I, and then here, we say our name again. So here again, similar to the Bodhisattva's confession of downfalls, we remember the time, right? So circling in cyclic existence from beginning of this time until the present. Okay, so that is the extent of the downfalls that we're confessing. So again, all of the downfalls since beginningless time. So next here is the cause for which we have accumulated these downfalls. Okay, so that is, being overpowered by delusions such as attachment, hatred, and ignorance. Okay, and then how have we, committed these downfalls? Then by means of body, speech, and mind. Then I have committed the 10 non-virtuous actions, as we talked about before, 3 of body, 4 of speech, and 3 of mind. Okay, and then the 5 heavy negative karmas without break, and the 5 nearing heavy negative karmas without break. So here again, we mentioned this is the same in the Bodhisattva's confession of downfalls. The 5 heavy negative karmas without break, killing your father, killing your mother, killing an arhat, with a malicious intent, drawing blood from the Buddha or causing the Buddha's blood to flow, and causing a division in the Sangha. And then the 5 nearing heavy negative karmas without break. So we mentioned last time, I'm not sure if you picked up on this, but there are 2 presentations of this. One according to the Abhidharma system taught in the Abhidharma Kosha, which was written by Vasubandhu. So that is the Vaibhashika system. And then there's another presentation by Arya Asanga, and this is in the, in my commentary, it just says in the Sai Nushi. So the Sai Nushi, okay, Sa means grounds. So, there's the Bodhisattva grounds, the hero grounds, and so forth. So this kind of collection of texts altogether is called the Sai Nushi. Anyway, I'm not sure how they translate that. But in that text, it's a little bit different presentation. But then I just came across, as I was looking into this, there's a nice little text on that's a commentary on this general confession by the great master Mulchu Dhammabhadra. So some of you know, or I've heard of that name because he was a very prolific writer in Tibet, and he wrote a lot of sadhanas, especially on the Vajrayana, some of which have been translated now into English. So especially the late David Gonzalez, he translated many of his sadhanas. Some of you will know. He also translated, he composed some fire puja texts as well. So some of you more familiar with the Vajrayana will come across that name. Anyway, in that text, he is sort of giving a commentary then on why these are called the nearing heavy negative karmas. Okay, so I'll kind of translate that on the fly here. Okay. Okay, so what it says is, maybe it's not this text. Maybe it's another one. I looked at 2 commentaries on this general confession. Here it doesn't seem like it has. Okay, anyway, but I remember what it is. So the point is, right, we have the heavy negative karma of killing your father. And then so, similar to that is killing a bodhisattva. And here in the Mahayana way of enumerating these 5, nearing heavy negative karmas, then it is a bodhisattva in their last life. Or there's another presentation that it is a bodhisattva abiding on the Arya grounds. Okay, so either of those is sort of akin to killing your father. And then killing your mother. So then there's that's the heavy negative karma, and then the nearing heavy negative karma to that is committing sexual misconduct with a fully ordained nun. So we had mentioned before in the Abhidharma system of Vasubandhu, there it is taken to mean sort of committing incest with your mother, who is an arhat. Okay, but if you think about that, that would be extremely rare, right? That you would have a mother who is an arhat to begin with, and then that you would somehow commit incest with her. So in the tradition of Arya Sangha, then it is sort of course, either an arhat or even just a fully ordained nun. So again, the kind of audience of this text were monks. So similarly, one can infer that having committing sexual misconduct with a fully ordained monk would also be a nearing heavy negative karma. Okay, so then killing an arhat, right, is the one of the 5 heavy negative karmas. So near to that, like similar to that, would be killing an Arya being, right, of the hearer or hearer vehicle. So a stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and so forth. Okay, and then the heavy negative karma with malicious intent causing the Buddha's blood to flow, that's akin, okay, something close to that would be destroying a stupa or representation of the 3 jewels. Okay, and then lastly, the heavy negative karma of causing a schism in the sangha, right? Then close to that, similar to that, would be taking the requisites or the sort of material needs, appropriating the material needs of the sangha. So anyway, that is I can't find it in this text now, but I remember because it was quite a nice presentation in my opinion. But of course, remember in other contexts, it is said that abandoning the holy dharma also is included in this. Stepping on a representation of the 3 jewels, stepping on the guru's shadow, and so forth, is also included in the 5. The nearing heavy negative karmas. Remember, in Arya Sangha's system, they're not limited to 5. Okay. All right. So then I have transgressed the vow of individual liberation. So here, I wonder if it should be vows, because in the commentary, it mentions, there's 8 types of individual liberation vows. We have the one-day vow, right? So this is not to be confused, although they're similar to the 8 Mahayana precepts. So those 8 Mahayana precepts and the 1 day of vows of individual liberation, what you're sort of refraining from for that 1 day, right? It is still the 5, the same as the 5 lay vows. So a vow not to kill, steal, drink alcohol, lie. But then instead of sexual misconduct, one takes a vow of celibacy for the day. And then, singing, dancing, playing music, high seats and beds, and eating after noon. Okay. So those 8 things that one is refraining from is the same, whether one is taking the one-day vow of individual liberation or the 8 Mahayana precepts. But what is vastly different is the motivation, right? So all of these, vows of individual liberation, they're done, primarily with a motivation to achieve nirvana, liberation from samsara for oneself alone. Okay, whereas the Mahayana precepts are taken with a motivation of bodhicitta. Okay, so we have the one-day vows, we have the lay male and lay female vows, we have the getsu, or the novice vows of a for a man, right? A getsu or a getsu ma, right? And then we have the nuns' probationary vows. Anyway, for the monks, right? One can go from getsu to the gelong, or the shamanera, to a bhikkhu, and actually one could even do that in the same day. But for the women, the novice nuns, they before they become a fully ordained nun, a bhikshuni, they have to do this probationary nun for 2 years, and then they're allowed to take ordination as a bhikshuni. So anyway, and then right, so that's 6, and then 7 and 8 are the fully ordained monk and nun, the bhikshu and bhikshuni. Okay, and then we have the transgress the vows of bodhisattvas. So here, the 14 root vows of bodhisattvas, or the 46 branch vows, probably included. Well, not included in the vows, but there are also the white and black dharmas that one should adopt and abandon. That is the sort of precepts of the aspirational bodhisattva vow. Okay, so yeah, those are kind of conduct that we do, but they're not actually vows. Okay, and then transgress the samaya of secret mantra. So here the samaya, or the damsik, right? Damsik. Rinpoche is fond of getting into the etymology of that. So dam is a promise. Seek, well, one way of describing it is burn, right? So these are promises that if you don't keep, you'll burn in Vajra hell. But the way of spelling seek, well, actually, then it means word, right? So it's like kind of holy words or holy pledges. Yeah, the word for burn, it's more like sek, but some think that it was a kind of how do you say, a little bit error crept in. So there are these 2 ways of describing it. Anyway, so the samaya of secret mantra means anything you've pledged while you take various levels of Vajrayana initiation. You have the of course, sometimes when you take initiation, you then take a pledge to commit yourself to doing say a mala of the particular deity's mantra on a daily basis, and then you also have the vows of secret mantra, the root vows, the left-hand conduct. For example, if you take a initiation in Mother Tantra, then the sort of lesser vows and so forth. Okay. There's not time to get into all that. Those of you who have taken those before, you'll know, because they're enumerated in the 6th session Guru Yoga. Then I have been disrespectful to my parents. So this is what we were saying. The parents are very why they're being sort of singled out here, along with Vajra masters and abbot, right? So then the parents are the ones who've been very kind to us in this life. So because of their kindness, then they should be objects of respect for us, and any actions that we do in relation to them are very heavy. So we especially regret those times we've been disrespectful to them. And then disrespectful to my Vajra masters and my abbot. So here, okay, the abbot, okay, actually abbot comes first, right? So if you look in the Tibetan, Kempo means abbot. So when you take ordination, then the ordination master is the abbot. And then actually Lopun just means acharya. So here it's been translated as Vajra master. And actually in the commentary I was reading, then it says, well, you can interpret that in two ways. Of course, there is the dorje lopun, right? So dorje, many of you know, dorje, that Tibetan word, it means Vajra. So the dorje lopun is the Vajra master. And one way of reading it is, yes, your Vajra master, the one who gives you the Vajrayana initiation, and the abbot giving you the the ordination of individual liberation. But the other way that it can be known, because it doesn't explicitly say Vajra, actually, right? It just says Lopun or Acharya. Then, well, some of you know, in the ordination ceremony as well, there is the abbot, but then there are also other, we can say masters or acharyas who actually read the vows. And then there's another acharya who asks the questions of you before you take ordination to see if you are suitable to receive the vows. Incidentally, without getting into it too much, one of the things they ask actually is, have you committed one of the 5 uninterrupted negative karmas? So one of the aside from being very heavy negative karma, then if you have committed one of the 5 negative karmas in this life, they say it's an obstacle for you to attain monastic ordination in this life as well. So before you are allowed to take ordination, that's something that's asked of you. And then the master who asks that of you, then also becomes one of your lopun. Okay, but then even more generally speaking, then also the teachers that give you instruction on, give you commentaries on various sutras and texts, then there also can be known as your lupin. Okay. All right. So now disrespectful to my spiritual friends living in ordination. So here the Tibetan drok is friends. Okay, so sangpa actually means purity. Sungpar is kind of similar to, okay? So in the commentary I was reading, the actual sangpa or the actual purity is nirvana, it's liberation. It's the state of having abandoned all the afflictions. So sungpar, right, similar to liberation, chipa. Chipa is the practices, okay? So the practices that are similar to liberation means the practices that lead to liberation. So what this means is, although we're not liberated, those kind of spiritual friends, who take the ordination, who then, train in a way that will, lead hopefully quickly to the actual state of sangpa or liberation, right? That is what is meant here. So that's why it's saying to my spiritual friends living in ordination. But more, generally speaking, even if they're not ordained as a monk or nun, then those other ones, we know our Vajra brothers and sisters who have taken initiation with the same Lama as ours. They also are very important for us karmically. As many of you know, in the Lama Chupa or the Guru Puja, then it says, even one of your pores is a field of merit more highly praised than all the numberless Buddhas of the 3 times in 10 directions, right? So what that means, a pore of the Guru is, any of the same disciples of your Guru, okay? So everyone then, for example, for His Holiness Dalai Lama, if you've taken an initiation with him, then all the other people in the world who've taken initiation, it doesn't have to be at the same time, they all become your Vajra brothers and sisters. And then, for them, they become a field of merit for you, more powerful than, all the, 10 direction, 3 times Buddhas. Okay. The only thing more powerful as a field of merit would be the Guru, him or herself. So this is also, very important to keep in mind. Yeah. So I've committed actions harmful to the 3 rare sublime ones. That means the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Abandoned the holy Dharma. Okay. So this we had talked about before. Is also included in the 5. In the nearing actions of immediate retribution. So, again, this can mean, something like saying that this particular teaching, is no good, is not necessary to be practiced to achieve enlightenment, to sort of criticize any of the Dharma teachings, or, even more subtly, to carry our Dharma texts with shoes, put ordinary objects on top of our Dharma books and so forth. So this one is, very easy to do through lacking mindfulness. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'll bring that up later. So criticize the Arya Sangha. Arya, as you know, means someone who has a direct realization of emptiness. Okay. Here in the commentary, it does say that even criticizing the sangha, the kind of ordinary sangha, consisting of a community of over 4 monks, also would be a very heavy negative action. So it is usually given as advice that, especially sometimes we might, let's say we might see a group of monks misbehaving, but then rather than, saying and grouping all the monks together, saying, like, oh, monks are so undisciplined, monks are so badly behaved, like this, well, even those monks we might have seen, kind of misbehaving, then, we don't know. So better not to criticize at all. There's many stories of this where, our perception doesn't equal reality. But even if, even if we, have to say something, then not to group it all together and saying, oh, the monks or the Sergey monks are like this, or Tibetan monks are like this, because that's going to then become the Sangha jewel. Understand? Okay. Harmed sentient beings and so on. These and many other non-virtuous negative actions I've done, caused others to do, have rejoiced in others doing, and so forth. In the presence of the great Guru Vajradhara, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who abide in the 10 directions, and all the Venerable Sangha, I admit this entire collection of faults and transgressions. Okay? Now, similar to the Bodhisattva's Confession of Downfalls. Here's more abbreviated. So all this collection of faults and downfalls, so what is their consequence? Okay, so here it says, they are obstacles to my own higher rebirth and liberation, and causes of cyclic existence and the lower realms. Okay. Yeah. I do not conceal them, and I accept them as negative. I promise to refrain from doing these actions again in the future. By confessing and acknowledging them, I will attain and abide in happiness, while by not confessing and acknowledging them, true happiness will not come. Okay. So here we'll talk about this. Yeah, we'll talk about this at the end. Okay. All right. So that is the general confession. So now, let us continue and talk about now we've gone through all the theory, and now we'll talk about the practice. So we'll continue with this text, which I think all of you have. It is available for free download on the FPMT website. Okay, so now, we are going to talk about, how then we do this practice. So hopefully, we're going to be doing it as a daily practice. Hopefully, we're going to be able to do the full practice of the 100,000 prostrations to the 35 Buddhas. So always at the beginning, most important thing that determines whether an action is positive or negative is the motivation with which we undertake it. So here, right, it's saying is an example of a motivation by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So, those of you who are very new to the practice, you can do this motivation at the beginning. And then, as you get more familiar, you'll sort of be able to understand the main point and sort of do it in your own words. But yeah, at the beginning, we can, do like this. So let's just go through this quickly, make sure we know all the words. So the purpose of my life is to free the numberless sentient beings who are the source of all my past, present, and future happiness, temporary as well as ultimate, including all the realizations of the path, liberation from samsara and enlightenment, from all the oceans of samsaric suffering, including the causes, delusion, and karma. Okay. Do we know why all the numberless sentient beings are the source of all my past, present, and future happiness? This is discussed in the teachings on cherishing sentient beings, particularly in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara and other texts that talk about the practice of equalizing and exchanging self for others. So anyway, yeah, maybe we don't have time to get into that right now. Yeah. So temporary is, getting a good rebirth. Ultimate is liberation and enlightenment. Okay. So yeah, basically, yeah, I don't want to just gloss it over, but you see, the numberless sentient beings. Okay, all of the success we have is due to merit that we accumulate. And so this merit that we accumulate is done in relation to either sentient beings or Buddhas. Okay, so when we have wealth or enjoyments in this life, possessions, it's because we have practiced generosity in the past. We've practiced generosity in relation to sentient beings who were, lacking in some material good, right? Or, when we gave them protection of fear, it's because, they were in a dangerous situation and so forth. Okay. We directly accumulate merit in relation to sentient beings. So in that sense, they're the source of past, present, future happiness. But then even the Buddhas, right? Even the Buddhas arose, from sentient beings, right? Because before the Buddhas were Buddhas, they were Bodhisattvas. Before they were Bodhisattvas, they were ordinary beings and not even entered the Mahayana path. But in order to enter the Mahayana path, as you know, one needs to develop great compassion that extends to all sentient beings. So this great compassion, it views as an object suffering sentient beings. So without viewing suffering sentient beings, then one cannot generate the mind of great compassion. Without the mind of great compassion, one cannot generate the mind of bodhicitta. Without the mind of bodhicitta, one cannot become enlightened. So the Buddhas themselves are born from bodhisattvas. The bodhisattvas are born from this mind of great compassion. Which is, by the way, those of you who know Chandrakirti's text on the Majjhimika Avatara, that's why Chandrakirti pays homage to great compassion at the beginning of that text. So anyway, that's the other reason why the numberless sentient beings are the source of all my past, present, future happiness. Okay? So then, in order, to lead them to happiness, we have to, free them from the oceans of samsaric suffering, including the causes, delusion, and karma. In order to do that, I need to achieve full enlightenment, right? Then only then will we have the skills and qualities to, guide them in the best way. So therefore, I need to actualize the path. And then, therefore, I need to purify my negative karmas and downfalls. Okay. So this actually, okay, this is great. And later, in any sort of virtuous action we're doing, we can at least have this level of motivation, right? That's great, right? So if we're studying, we can do those first, sentences, and then I need to actualize the path. Therefore, I'm going to study this Dharma text. Okay, great. All right. Now, if you're pressed for time, you could do just this, and it would be a full kind of complete motivation. It's great. But now we have a little bit elaboration. Okay. To bring some urgency into it, we recall in greater detail the suffering of the lower realms and death. Okay. So now we think if I were now born in hell, it would be so unbearable. Even one tiny fire spark on my body is hundreds of thousands of times hotter than the whole entire fire energy in this world. It is so unbearable that experiencing it for even an instant is like suffering for many eons. I have created numberless causes to be born in the hell realms by creating the 10 non-virtuous actions countless times in this and beginningless past lives. I've committed numberless causes to be born in hell realms by breaking the Pratimoksha vow, by breaking the Bodhisattva vow, and by breaking the Tantric vow countless times in this and beginningless past lives. And I've created numberless causes to be born in the hells by creating the heaviest negative karma in relation to the holy virtuous friends, by harming their holy bodies, disobeying their advice, disturbing their holy minds, having non-devotional thoughts, giving rise to heresy and anger, which produce the greatest obstacles to achieving realizations and create the greatest suffering. Okay, so here already, we start to enumerate some of the negative actions that we've done, in particular breaking these, 3 types of vows, right? And, thinking that we've done already numberless times throughout beginningless samsaric rebirth. Okay. So then every single one of these negative actions has the 4 suffering results. So here is, what we went through before, and now we're just going to, recall these aspects of karma so that our regret and seeing the faults of these negative karma, it becomes more clear to us. Okay. So we have the ripened aspect results, rebirth in the lower realms, the possessed result, the type of environments I experienced when again born as a human, the result similar to the cause as an experience, and the worst one, the result similar to the cause as an action. Which means that again and again, I'm forced to create the same negative actions in the future. And so again and again, I'll have to experience the four suffering results. In this way, samsara has no end. Okay. So this, we had gone over, right? Not only that, but karma increases. So even a small negative action can have huge suffering results. And karma is definite to be experienced. So every negative action I've created will definitely bring its result, no matter how long it takes until it is purified. So from one negative karma, I have to experience the result over and over again for so many hundreds of lifetimes. Understanding this, how can I stand to live my life without purifying myself and getting rid of all of these negative karmas, just as I would try to get rid of a deadly poison in my body? Not only that, but I'm going to die, and death can come even today at any moment. Okay, this is what I'm saying, the urgency. Therefore, I must purify all my negative actions right this second. In order to do that, I'm going to do prostrations with confessions of Bodhisattva downfalls to the 35 Buddhas, and I'm going to do this so I can actualize the path and achieve full enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, so yeah, that's a really great motivation. So very good to do. Really already get the urgency and the regret, seeing the faults of having these unpurified negative karmas in your mental continuum. Okay, so we have here the visualization. So now again, okay, depends on you. Okay, this is the visualization we were talking about. Okay, so some of you, you don't need all these words. If you're a very visual person, you can just kind of look at this picture, right? See what's going on, and then just, visualize on the basis of this. Okay. But in any case, let's see here. In the space in front of you, you visualize your guru in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha with thousand-armed Chenrezig at his heart. The heart of thousand-armed Chenrezig is still free. Okay, so here, your guru, Shakyamuni Buddha, at his heart is Chenrezig. Chenrezig's heart is the syllable free. Okay. Then the beams of light are emitted from the Hri, forming 6 rows in the space below. At the end of each beam is a throne supported by elephants and adorned with pearls. On each throne is seated a Buddha. So then it talks about these, 6 rows. First row are blue, except for the third, right? Then, white, yellow, red, green. I don't have to go through that. And then the final row are the 7 medicine Buddhas. So here, just like it's described, the first row, 6 Buddhas. This is, King Lord of the Nagas. And then the final row is the medicine Buddhas. Okay. So then we think that each of these Buddhas is the embodiment of all the Buddha's Dharmas and Sangha and all the statutes to the scriptures of the 3 times and 10 directions, whose essence is the Guru, and have complete faith that each one has the power to purify all your negative karmas and obscurations collected from beginningless rebirths. Now you imagine that you emanate numberless bodies, and that as you prostrate, all these bodies prostrate along with you in all directions, covering every atom of the earth. So this is what we had mentioned before, the benefits of prostrating. Then, every atom that your body covers, then, from the earth all the way to the base of the earth, right? All those atoms, for each atom, that many eons, you'll be born as a wheel-turning king. So incredible amount of merit. So then, as some of you know, right, just like when we do the offering practice, whether we do the actual offerings or whether we visualize them, then the merit accumulated is the same. So whether we, prostrate with numberless bodies, okay? So, Arya Bodhisattvas, they can emanate, more and more bodies, 100 on the first ground, 1,000 on the second ground, and so forth. So 10th ground Bodhisattvas can, emanate millions of bodies, tens of millions, probably billions of bodies. And, the Samantabhadra, who's known from the King of Prayers, he would do that, emanate countless bodies that would make prostrations and offerings and so forth. So whether that is actually done or whether we just visualize it, then the merit again is the same. So it's important that we, have that visualization. Okay. Now I'm also going to just mention, because it says them on the commentaries. So, although we visualize this, sorry. Although we visualize like this, we can think also that the whole, universe is pervaded by Buddhas. And so not just that each one of the Buddhas that we're visualizing is an embodiment of all the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, but actually, on every atom is, countless Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. And then as we're prostrating, we're prostrating to all the 10 direction Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha statues to the scriptures, whose essence is the Guru. Okay. All right. Oops. So now, okay. Here are some preliminary holy name mantras. So it says here, recite the following holy name mantras while prostrating to increase the power of prostrations. These can be recited very quickly. One recitation does not need to correspond with one prostration. So to multiply every prostration by 10 million, prostrate while reciting Buddha Rinchen Gyaltsen's holy name in Tibetan and mantra 3 times, either one after the other or as a pair. Okay. So here I how I do it. Okay. I'm already okay doing the prostration. So maybe it's good that we just take a moment. Okay. And let's actually, I'm going to turn around my camera. Let's see how this works. Okay, you see there? That's the I Am My House prostration board. Do you see? Okay. So let's see how this works. You know what? I'm going to turn my computer around instead.